Thank you very much, Kentaro. And again, thank you very much for inviting the Global Green Growth Institute to present in this first meeting of the authorization work group. Can you hear me well? I'm not wearing my headphones, but
yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to thank Sana for this very detailed explanation on the rules and decisions. That's very, very useful. And we always need to make sure that the materials that we are producing in GGI are according to the latest discussions. So this type of forums are really important for us. And also thank you to Christina, Jason, and Takayuki. It's very encouraging to learn from you. And I think these three countries are the example of building over the structures that they had in the past and the other carbon pricing instruments. So very interesting. Thank you. So my topic today is to share about the work that we do in GGI together with our member countries in supporting their decision-making processes related to authorization. GGI, maybe we can move to the next slide. Yeah, what we do in GGI is to enable moderated dialogue and facilitate access to technical information and to international experiences for national stakeholders to have all the elements they need to guide government-led internal decision-making processes. I am making an emphasis on this because the reality and the context in every country is very different and the starting point is very different. So we encourage our focal points to create a steering committee with different ministries, get together, discuss, look at the information and make decisions. We have seen today a couple of very good experiences related to those internal processes, not necessarily with GGI, but that is the type of activities that we support in the countries. Specifically on authorization, we see it as a part of a broader landscape of strategic decisions in a country. We encourage them to address the process answering the following questions: what to authorize, how to authorize it, and most importantly, why. And then under the why, the first one that I have here, this is a space for stakeholders to identify which mitigation activities can contribute the most to the different commitments that they already have. They have their NDC, but they also have long-term development strategies or even other very ambitious plans like net zero or phasing out coal programs or even national development plans, and see how they can leverage their activities with carbon finance. Also including narrowing down sectors, types of activities, technologies that they want to prioritize, and they want to say, okay, we believe that carbon finance can help us to get this in the country. Now, regarding the what, we support discussions about those attributes that can be put on a list and checked when countries receive mitigation activity proposals. So this is basically supporting the definition of eligibility criteria. And we also try to make it easy, very graphic, and to prevent it from becoming a burden for government reviewers and also for project proponents. So especially in those countries that don't have a lot of experience in markets, we promote keeping a very short and simple list at the beginning that they can specify further with enough flexibility after they test the criteria with real examples and experience in the ground. Sana was telling us earlier that there are some discussions ongoing, and yeah, maybe we will see more CMA decisions. So it would be important for countries to have the flexibility to adapt and to include these other elements into their frameworks. And finally, regarding the how, this is basically laying out all the decisions and procedures about so parties can know how and when to proceed. So streamlining processes, using standardized formats for the country, having publicly available rules and responsibilities. So this will reduce the risks for the country. So they already made all these important decisions, and now everybody will be clear on how to proceed. Governments as rule makers have the potential to conduct potential developers, investors, and donors and tell them what are the priority areas in the countries, at the same time with complying with Article 6 guidelines. Here I have these questions, but also a couple of examples that I'll explain further from our work. So maybe we can move to the next slide. This is an example of the type of capacity building that we put together. So as I said, we try to make it very, very simple, providing materials before the decision-making sessions. Also, as I said before, this is totally government-led. So the invitations for the sessions and the moderators and the organizers are government, and we as GTI are only a supporting partner for the government. So the support that each country requests from us is very different. And the approach for working with them is 100% tailor-made. All the activities that I have shown, we don't do all of them in every country. We have an embedded team in each member country, and our staff, GGI staff, discusses with government stakeholders out their specific requirements. Maybe they already made governance framework with the World Bank, or they already have some capacity building with the UNDP. So we sit with them, identify where the gaps are, and try to build as much over the work that the government has done and the support that other organizations have been providing. So next slide. So I have a couple of examples here. In Cambodia, we have the government itself drafted a regulatory framework for carbon markets, and we were moderating some sessions in 2022 and facilitating technical discussions to include additional Article 6 requirements as part of the eligibility criteria that they already had drafted in their framework. Senegal is another country where we are supporting government-led discussions. This is specifically about the why the country set together to discuss those areas of the NDC in which the different sectors already have a very good progress, and those areas where they might need support of carbon finance to get to their goals. So that is this example. And also I wanted to speak about our SPARK program funded by IKI in consortium with UNEP-CCC, Carbon Limits, GFA, and KPC. And this program is working on a more I don't want to say generic, but a solution that can inform many more countries, and they are producing some guidelines, including some for the design of Article 6 strategies and governance structures, building over the examples and experience of other countries. So I think that these documents will be very relevant for the Article 6 implementation partnership. In these countries that we work, we can see that there is a lot of local expertise. We try to work always with local experts, and if needed, raise capacities with other consultants or academic experts that are already there and had experience before with other mechanisms, and we can also leverage their knowledge for Article 6. Maybe we can move to the next one. This is about the flexibility I was mentioning, and I think Sana also mentioned that these frameworks will evolve over time, and according to long-term strategies and to other developments in the country. Maybe just the next slide is to inform or to share with you, if we can change to the next slide. Yeah, our activities in general and the countries where we are working on Article 6 specifically. We have 42 member countries, but we are working on Article 6 in these 10 so far. And yeah, I can conclude my presentation. I just wanted to say that is very encouraging to witness the benefits of sustained capacity building and access to information. And seeing this year that after a couple of years of capacity building and outreach, and with the leadership of many countries and organizations, the other day we were hearing from Switzerland that is very well advanced in already having two authorized activities, of course, with Ghana, Thailand, and Jordan, that we could hear from in the previous session. It's really encouraging that we can get hold of more and more accumulated knowledge, lessons learned, examples that other countries can adapt and replicate, but also those areas where we still need collective creativity. Thank you again to the Ministry of Environment of Japan for leading this working group, for letting us learn from front runners. And today, from hearing from Chile, PNG, Japan itself, about the comprehensive work that they are doing. GGI remains keen to keep the coordination with donor countries, also with the World Bank, UNDP, IGES, and any other organization to keep building this collective knowledge bank. Our aim is to accelerate international carbon markets for the sake of rapidly reducing GHG emissions while securing green growth in a functional environment for our future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jimena, for sharing your experiences. I think the local expert and consultants are very much important to increase the capacity in the host country side. And also, I think we should collaborate each other, and maybe the country we support maybe is the same sometimes. So yeah, we may seek more collaboration among the various stakeholders. So thank you very much again for your presentations. So I think I don't see the Harry connections. So yeah, still we need to wait for his maybe connections. So maybe until he can join, maybe I would like to invite Alexandra from UNDP. So I'm ready to speak.
Thank you. I don't have a presentation. I will just talk about what UNDP is currently doing on Article 6 capacity building. But thank you, first of all, for the invitation to this first authorization working group meeting. I'm very pleased to speak about UNDP's support on capacity building in general, and in particular on the authorization processes. I'm Alexandra Sölzer, Global Carbon Technical Advisor with UNDP, and I'm also managing UNDP's Article 6 program. I would first like to highlight that as part of our capacity building support, we offer an online training course with a dedicated module on authorization. And this training course has been designed for policymakers, for technical staff, government officials, and other implementing partners from the public and private sector. The 6-module course covers the processes and procedures required for entering into successful Article 6 cooperative approaches. We developed the course together with UNFCCC colleagues, especially in the RCC, but also Perumal was involved, and with generous funding from the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, Switzerland, and in partnership also with the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies, Japan. Module 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 covers a wide variety of critical areas of Article 6 processes, including a general overview of the concept on voluntary cooperation, opportunities, requirements, obligations of participation, and also the linkage between Article 6.2 and the NDCs, environmental integrity, processes, and institutional setup, as well as reporting requirements. But one module 4, is most relevant for the topic of authorization and offers a deeper dive into these key issues that countries may want to address before authorizing the transfer of mitigation outcomes. Participants will also gain an understanding of the establishment of authorization procedures, registry needs, and the concept of corresponding adjustments and its implications for participating parties. Also, how authorization procedures can be established. And in addition to these online course modules, we developed a detailed guidance document, which is attached to the course, and a set of PowerPoint presentations, all available for downloading. And this supporting background material is available really for anybody for free. And at the end of this course, we issue a certificate of completion. And also along the lines of capacity building, we deliver targeted in-country training, such as recently in Georgia in February, as well as online trainings. An upcoming series of 3 online training sessions is under preparation and is planned for May, and again open to everybody. And the target audiences are UNFCCC country focal points and UNDP's Article 6 target countries. And so these online and in-country trainings have a detailed session, of course, also on authorization. And in addition, we are working currently together with the RCCs on a short video, which will explain authorization processes, issuance, reporting steps, specifically for government stakeholders. And with UNFCCC, also again RCCs, we are initiating the development of an Article 6 Academy, which will offer a deep dive into the different subjects for selected government officials in target countries. And as part of Digital for Climate collaboration with the World Bank, UNFCCC, and EBRD, we are working on digital solutions to support the ITMO implementation processes, including, again, the authorization step. And this authorization step is a dedicated module, which has been set up at the Carbon Cooperation Platform, and has the ITMO workflow in general, including the different steps and the authorization process, can be managed and implemented on this platform through registered users. The key feature here is that the platform is modular and therefore is easily amendable and scalable, and we can set it up quickly for new countries. The platform is currently being linked to the World Bank's core registry, and will be able to offer the end-to-end digital system from mid-2023 onwards to first pilot countries. And then we also offer hands-on ad hoc project implementation support through learning by doing, which also includes support during the authorization process, development of first letter of authorizations, initial and regular reports. This will involve the piloting, approval and authorization procedures to enable the forming of a technical opinion by an Article 6 secretariat or committee in a host country. And concretely, we have developed such LOA templates and initial reports for our target countries. We are working closely with the host countries and buyer countries to ensure that the documents of both countries are fully aligned and provide support during the process. As you know, Ghana has completed the full process cycle with Switzerland and with UNDP as authorized entity. We are currently working with Vanuatu, since the government is again in the process of completing the first authorization together with Switzerland and UNDP as authorized entity. And last but not least, we have set up a help desk for our target countries that they can contact anytime for technical assistance during the different process steps, including, of course, the authorization step. And we are looking forward to rolling out these different levels of trainings online, in-country, hands-on support to target countries in Georgia, Ukraine, Malawi, Morocco, Senegal, Peru, and Uruguay. And we are keen to collaborate with other partners, with all you here in this working group, to strengthen the Article 6 capacity, implementation capacity of countries. Thank you for all the presenters, and especially to Japan for leading this effort. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Alexandra, for sharing your training course. And I just share the link on online course in the chat box. And I think if you have any interest to maybe register, yeah, all participants can register. And I think that we see the more than 3,000.
Yes.
Yeah, enrolled participants. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations the launch of the this event, this online course. Okay, so now I see the connections, Harry. Are you here? And okay.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yep.
Thank you so much, Interasan, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm also going to take very in a short time and just to introduce what support actually the World Bank is providing to countries, to think through several issues that the participants asked, and then many countries are of course obviously thinking through right now to support participation in international carbon markets. Next slide, please. So was one thing, of course, that if you look into the policy frameworks that countries have developed so far, I mean, it's like Ghana, which is finalized, and then countries like Jordan, Rwanda, and then of course from participants actually I understand PNG also, of course, in the process of finalizing the policy framework, and there are few other countries that are going in a step-by-step manner. For example, India just recently announced their positive list, what one can say. So, of course, if you look into that one, of course, I think one of the major areas that many countries are also looking into is what kind of asset development process that they need to have mainly in cases where they wanted to have their own standards and systems, at the domestic level. And of course, also to better understand at what stage of the process flow the authorization or approvals that are needed. And we, of course, in the form of the informal working group with the independent standards, developed a standard carbon asset development process. Of course, again, it's up to the country's discretion to also look into, and especially for Article 6.2 kind of operations, to adapt. We have published an approach paper on this one, and I will share the link in the chat in case you are interested to find out more about how this process was and evolved. The idea behind this is at least to standardize some of the requirements, and then understanding the process. Of course, it needs to be looked into basically how many countries will follow, especially in initiatives like what the World Bank has, in which of course we wanted to adapt a certain process and procedures for us to generate emission reduction credits, and then of course use it for different purposes, be it results-based financing or for the carbon market purpose. And of course, as part of this process, also we are like UNDP, of course, we are also helping countries with establishing a data management system, or in a way, it's a national MRV system, and also open source registry, and that has, of course, functionalities both as a database, but also to support transaction of the emission reductions. And then finally, of course, helping countries to connect to the World Bank supported Climate Action Data Trust. Again, this basically is a platform where all the connected registries information will be publicly available, for the market participants, for the transparency purpose, and also for different applications. Next slide, please. Another important piece of work, of course, that we help countries is with the establishment of the policy framework. Again, there is a very detailed paper that we published recently on this one. So what the policy framework should look like, and in terms of so what the content should contain, and the schedules, and of course some kind of a guidance like on how these schedules need to be looked into and then filled. For the several countries, of course, adapted something similar policy framework that the paper suggests, and of course we will help countries to think through the different requirements that are specified here. Not necessary that all of these applicable and they need to be part of the policy framework. We have seen already the policy framework that is very light in terms of providing the clarity and the requirements to a very comprehensive that goes into hundreds of pages, and talking the very minute details as well for providing the better clarity to the participants. Yes, this is a very big piece of work in which the stakeholder consultation is very critical, and then we basically the countries that seek support from the bank, so we will be part of the entire process for them to understand the different requirements specified here, and then of course finalize the policy framework. Next slide, please. This is of course again support and just an authorization process. I mean, some countries of course are also given the of course the complexity of developing the policy framework, and then the different domestic requirement, especially in the policy context. Some countries basically also wanted to think through in advance, like how whether they can set up some kind of authorization process without of course connecting directly to the broader policy framework that they need to develop over a period of time. So there again, that support of course includes like identifying the corresponding adjustment requirements, and then what the the letter that countries need to issue, and then what the contents of that letter should look like, and then how basically that the country needs to record the need for this corresponding adjustments, and then apply the corresponding adjustments. And because of the requirement that where the countries may need to country should actually report to their corresponding adjustment details within the biannual transparency report. So this is another piece of support that that bank provides many countries right now. Next slide. These are, of course, obviously some of the questions that, of course, at least based on our experience, which also reflected, with some of the participants' questions today, and also the previous session on 15th. So, like, what timing of the timing issue, like when this authorization process should happen, and then timing of the approval, like should they establish the process requirements for all markets, that means especially for the voluntary markets, and then of course and when this authorization should happen, though the text almost clarifies that for the first transfer, but those are the questions basically the countries are asking. And as I said, what the contents of the authorization, then of course as Diego already mentioned, what the revocation of the authorization means, like how those issues need to be addressed, and of course there are a few other issues. I mean, these are some of the standard issues that that everybody of course is talking about, and then countries are looking into to come up with some kind of responses or answers, so that they can provide clarity to the participants that are coming. I mean, like this is a trend I'm sure in every country, like because there is no policy framework or there is no clarity, but the private sector wanted to move ahead and then develop the programs, and especially for the voluntary markets. So they are of course bombarding the questions with Ministry of Environment, mainly asking like what road ministry would play, and then whether their project will be considered as part of the NDC, or they can go ahead and then participate in the voluntary market. And then of course the countries also wanted to encourage, because they see this an opportunity that there is a money flowing into the country, but at the same time they are also concerned that if I give a approval or authorization right now, what happens if I don't meet my NDC at a later period, at a later point, when it comes to the NDC in the target year. So those are some of the questions that countries are grappling with, and at the same time, of course, when the market is also coming with some innovative solutions, like how to handle these kind of things. Like one is the concept of the opportunity cost, whether the buyer should pay one for the project developers, and then one to the the government basically to incentivize, and then to, in case of course they fail to meet, use these revenues to find an opportunities in other sectors, and so that they can meet an NDC. But of course, these are all not an easy question, easy answers basically. But of course, these are some of the, at least thinking that at least we witnessed. Next slide, please. This is my final slide. I guess to this basically all the support right now bank is providing is through the partnership for market implementation facility, of course, under which we have 17 countries that we are supporting, both on the explicit carbon pricing instruments like ETS and carbon tax, but also majorly on international carbon markets. And of course, here when the major components are of the policy framework, identifying the gaps basically with the country's readiness to participate in the markets, and also in the infrastructure. I mean, again, the bank also something similar to the UNDP has developed MRV and registry systems, and then connecting that to the Climate Action Data Trust. And then, of course, the bigger part is the capacity building around all these aspects. And of course, in case where they also wanted to design and develop some new instruments around how basically something similar to what the Vietnam has recently issued with the support of the bank, a carbon linked bond, and etc. So those are the other technical support that the bank is currently providing. I think that's it, my end of the presentation. And then next slide provides some links to the information for different things that I just mentioned. So you can find more information, including the approach papers on the Climate Warehouse website, and of course some reports and then guidebooks on Partnership for Market Implementation website. Thanks once again, and over to you, Pentas.